Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of Vampire the Masquerade Beyond Armageddon. Before we begin, I'd like to make a few announcements. First, we are proud to announce that Sabbat the Schism is officially out now. Not only does it delve into the history and lore of the sect, it opens up multiple role-playing options for fans of the game, including new playable clans, elder level powers, and much more. You can find your own copy of Sabbat the Schism in the link below. Second, I'd like to thank RS Experiments, our local musical talent, for graciously providing the custom music you've been enjoying so far, including our awesome main theme song called Haven Dweller. If you enjoy any of the music used during the stream and you'd like to hear more, you can find a full library of Mark's work by clicking the link below to RS Experiments' SoundCloud page. Lastly, if you enjoyed tonight's session and you'd like to see more, be sure to follow both our channels. You can catch us live most Sundays at 7 p.m. CET by tuning in to youtube.com/@EriseGames or at twitch.tv/EriseGames. Alternatively, you can enjoy all our recorded sessions on YouTube. Links below. Remember to like, subscribe, and be sure to leave us feedback and suggestions in the comments below. We hope you enjoy the session, and without further ado, let us delve into the world of darkness in tonight's episode of Vampire the Masquerade Beyond Armageddon. Serena finds herself driving to an unknown destination for an unknown reason, something she just felt she had to do. With guns stored in the vehicle and her sword at arm's reach, she arrives at the edge of Griffith Park. Exiting the vehicle, she spots, right at the edge of the forest, a man sitting at a makeshift campsite, sketching something on the dirt. As she approaches, the man seems oblivious to her.
Mutual friend was a lady of the forest. Otherwise, I don't know who you are, and this might get violent.
The man, a short-haired man with dressed in a very fine black suit, seems to be very preoccupied with the sketch on the dirt and kind of zoned out of reality, not really paying attention to what you just said.
Serena sighs and just like puts her hand in the pocket, like into her coat where the gun is near.
Mm-hmm. As she approaches, her posture ready to deal with another threat. One every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
The man suddenly realizes she's there, and as he finishes the sketch, he looks up to her and says, I hope you don't mind me summoning you like this. I've yet to become fully acquainted with modern technologies.
Well, next time, please use modern technologies. There are other people around me who might take offense, and they're not someone easily stopped.
I'm sure. I will make sure to fix this problem by the next time we meet, but I'm afraid you might have to endure another summon.
Reaches into her pocket uh, and takes out a burner phone. Where she enters her phone number. It's like a simple Nokia, which she would have used in case she needed
Mm-hmm.
to call somebody. A habit from 3 counties ever since. And just throws a Nokia at the guy. My phone is in there. You learn how to use it, then you can call me.
Hmm.
Because next time when you summon me,
I believe I've captured some memories of this. Where's the... And he seems to be looking for a button on the side so he can press and speak.
this is an older version,
Older.
more simple. Well, they never had buttons on. Wait, why are you looking at the button on the side?
Well, can you hear me now?
Serena
Um,
looks at him confused.
you can make a flat intelligence roll.
Okay. Bow, bow, bow. Uh, uh, uh. Beleza? No.
Yeah. Um, you have no fucking idea what this man is trying to do. You get the sense that he's sort of jesting at you. Oh, regardless, I'll
There.
figure it out.
Yes. My phone number is added to the phone book inside the phone.
Much like a frequency, I would assume. Regardless,
Yes.
I was only made aware of your clan. A child of
Serena
Malkov,
Moore.
correct?
Yes, Serena Moore.
Glad to see his blood still courses through the veins of some of the worthy. I've been looking for one of your kind with prophetic abilities, as they're somewhat few and far between nowadays. And I was made aware that you are a particularly talented one.
Try.
Well, I would need you to find someone for me, and once you do, accompany me to her. Once we confirm her location, I am fully prepared to offer you a favor.
Mm-hmm. Well, um, I'd need, since I've never seen her myself, my personal psychic link to that person is going to be quite weak. So I'd need a picture, a name.
Hmm.
If you have some things that belong to her,
Would
also good.
And he gestures towards the sketch he just made. Would a drawing
Uh,
suffice?
did you ever see the person yourself?
Yes.
Well, then I'd prefer that conveyed mentally.
Any memories
At
of her?
least whatever you feel most like her. Her being most like herself. In the spiritual sense, not physical.
Alright. I suppose I can try. And he looks to you, and with a very quick set of flashes, you get a very vivid image of this woman. Every aspect of her physical appearance, you are fully aware of. You can picture her voice, you can picture everything about her, as if
More,
almost hundreds of years of experience were just
more.
pressed into your mind.
Is she mortal? A Cainite? What?
It's very difficult to tell what she is.
Okay,
The
so
experience
supernatural.
you got from her.
No, I ask him.
Oh. Well, he simply says, well, she. I would rather keep that a secret for now, if you don't mind.
Oh. It just look, if she was immortal and you saw her a while ago, right? Then she would she could be old and I need to adjust my mindset. If she's
She is about as old as I am.
Iris looks at him with a face that says nothing to me.
How do I put this? I don't think my age is comprehensible to you.
Okay?
Sorry.
And Iris, that's all right. Been seen worse. Uh, right then. Any specifics? Like, does she know how to use flesh crafting or something along the lines? Because that would require some mental adjustments. If not, then it's not a matter.
Well, if it's simply regarding her physical appearance, I don't imagine she would look much different than when I last saw her.
No. And she's about the same really old age as you, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, does she know how to do vampire magic? Because I'm well aware that some of the warlocks can make charms that resist precognition.
Warlocks, you mean.
Amir. The
By that you
usurpers.
mean.
The usurpers. She looks to him. You do not know who they are?
I know of House Tremere.
House Tremere did decided to steal some, I think, Zivita blood to turn into to become immortal but stay mages, and I guess they just became vampires, and then I
See.
suppose they diablerized Salot.
Well, no.
And
She's not one of them.
but other plants also have their own forms of magic, like coldness and other things.
It's hard to know the limits of what she can do. We never inquired.
All right. So that's Okay, Iris is like,
I'm aware her physical appearance has changed a very little, if at all.
Yeah, no, that's not what my concern is. My concern is if she's as old and potentially as powerful as you say, unexpected scrying can cause unwelcome side effects. So Iris sits down, crosses her legs, and she's going to draw a few tarot cards.
As you're sitting down, the man looks to you a bit puzzled and says, "Well, what kind of side effects might you suffer from this?"
Well, once I tried tracking someone who was guarded, and that burned my hand, so that kind of stuff.
I see. Allow me then. He stands up and very slowly walks behind you and simply rests his hand very gently on your back. You may proceed.
I don't think the tarot cards would have given any side effects, but if you think you can counteract any unwelcome ward effects, I'll take out the maps and straight. And Serena's gonna take out.
I'm not entirely sure if I can or not, but always worth a try.
It'll be an experiment. Iris is going to take she's going to take the big map, world map, because she has no idea where that person is. Oh, by the way, is she expected to be on this continent or anywhere in the world?
Well, as I tracked her, I would say her location can vary wildly. But I've located... I've managed to pin her position somewhere around the Americas.
Okay. She's not gonna have like a separate American continent, so she'll just have to fold the world map to only include the US. Well, actually, no, she won't. She won't, because what if she moved? And then she's going to take out the crystal and start concentrating on what she learned about the woman, like age,
Yeah, you may roll.
the connection that she shared, etc. Basically, all of that. Wait. So I'm also going to use a willpower roll just in case. 4, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4 to divine, plus 1 auto success, which is 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 to interpret.
Okay. It takes you about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and you pin her position somewhere on the northern border of Mexico.
So not far from LA.
Not too far, no.
Well, to get it more precise, I'd need another map for that area and anything around it. But if she's moving north, then she's moving this way, more or less. She's moving south, and that means she's moving away.
I'm fairly certain she wouldn't be moving. Not if my assumptions are correct.
Well, if that's the case, then she's somewhere close to Mexico, and Mm, how long would that travel take?
Well, for us, not very long.
I actually asked Miguel.
Oh, by car, quite a few hours. You might have to spend the night there. Or the day, I mean.
If we set out now, that means it's gonna take at least a day or more.
Can you give me the
Not.
location? Generally speaking.
Well, Iris points to the map and then shows where we are currently, like in the area, like in LA,
Take my
and then
hand.
says also, okay.
Uh,
Takes.
you grab his hand, and then he lets go. And you look around, and you realize you're in a completely different place now.
Iris thinks to herself, ooh. Iris just like briefly a thought flashes about, like Cecil freaking out, but she pushes it away so that as not even to, like distract him from his job. Okay. Are we in the desert?
Yep.
Do I have any better map?
You could probably... Let's say that you do, just for story's sake.
Okay. Well, first, I'm actually going to use my phone to move as close to the location that I got with the pendant.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know how precisely he teleported.
It
Or whatever.
takes you about 20 minutes walking to get there.
Mm-hmm. And, well, when I see that it's gonna take 20 minutes, like some walking time, this basically. Well, run away for a bit, and then from there we'll see if we need another attempt at tracking or not. And then we walk with Iris every now and then checking the phone for the specific location.
Yep. And through several attempts, about half an hour, 40 minutes later, you eventually reach a spot in the desert where somehow the area feels a bit different. It doesn't look any different from the rest of the desert. It just feels different somehow.
Margin of error was quite
Repeat, please.
small. Iris, when she feels it, she double checks like the feeling. Like, oh. I mean, even with such an imprecise map, the margin of error was quite small. Amazing. But I think it's somewhere close.
Good. Well, in that case, all I need to do is check that she's here.
This strangeness is most prevalent first. Do
Well,
I roll perception awareness?
You may roll perception awareness if you wish.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, the man takes. Okay, yeah. What you sense is somewhere deep underground, like deep underground. There's something you really, really, really don't want to see.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a shovel?
I don't need a shovel to check. If I'm correct, it should be a question of simply... And he places his hand on the sand. And he presses his hand through sand. It buries quite deep. And he manages to push his hand all the way up to his shoulder.
Serena, while she's nervous about what's under there, and also nervous of what could happen when whoever's sleeping there is awakens, right, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
While she is still relaxed, she's already doing the mental gymnastics of like, how quickly can I get the fuck out of here? What are my options? Like, voice of madness or something, and so on. The computer is calculating, just in case.
As the man reaches underground and seems to sort of rub his fingers on as deep as he can go into the ground, he eventually gives a faint smile and says, "You may call your favor. What would you like?"
Studying some plant magic. I got stuck on it. Well, actually, that's what the forest lady promised.
I'm sure she'll be able to help you with that. Would you like me to expedite the process?
Expedite? In which way?
Well, make it easier for you to learn it.
I mean, that would not be something that would be quite good. But then, like, Serena actually gets excited, but then like, what's the metaphysical process behind it?
You shouldn't worry your mind about that.
Serena just thinks to herself, I'm more worrying my mind about the others who are inside of me being offended. I think. She's going to draw a card.
Okay.
Whether this process is going to...
Meanwhile, the man very slowly begins to pull his arm, but it gets stuck around the elbow in the ground.
3 successes to divine and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4.
Okay. And what is the question you ask?
The card is basically, like, I'm basically drawing a card whether the process is going to, in some way, not be liked by the hive minds.
Not be by what?
Like, basically, look, so Iris has already Malkath in her head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Elder's in the body. And Cecil's also connected to that whole shenanigans. So this is all a very complex body, mind, soul system, right? Whatever he does, she doesn't want to end up with something else inside of her that she doesn't know of, okay? That's the issue. Because certainly there's powers that, like, are not as invasive as vicissitude or dementation, but she doesn't want to be accidentally connected to another antediluvian.
Okay. So you draw your first card, and you draw the Wheel of Fortune upright. And you feel like this has like quite a bit of significance. You get this inkling that you should draw more. And so you place the card on the ground, and you draw another.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, you keep drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. And you end up drawing the entire deck, and you're left with the last card in your hand, which is the Tower reversed.
Does that imply? What is the vibes that I'm getting? That I should try my luck? Or no?
Essentially, that if you do, you'll avoid something that will be quite chaotic.
Interesting. But, the question was basically something that, I don't want to...
Yeah, you don't want to have something stuck in your head that's antediluvian-like, apart
Yes.
from what you already got. So,
Uh-huh.
in this case, you draw a card that, you can read Wheel of Fortune upright in the notes.
Yep.
And you can read the Tower reversed in the notes.
Okay. So the general vibe that Iris gets is, this is alright. In fact, it's good. Right?
I'll let you interpret as you wish, but I wouldn't disagree with your assessment, per se.
Inevitable fate. Uh, okay. Well then, well, it seems the cards do not imply any negative side effect due to reasons. So I guess it won't harm. And in fact, it might help me avoid some sort of disaster. Which is a very good thing given our pack's current situation. So yes, I am all right with calling that favor to expedite the learning process.
Very well. Let me just. And he keeps trying to pull his arm out of the ground, and eventually he manages to pull all the way to the wrist, and then it sort of. Like you hear a sort of snap coming from underground, and his hand comes loose. And he seems to look at it with quite a smile as he holds what looks like a flower. Only not just the petals, but the stem of the flower, all of it is red. And he just twirls the flower in his fingers. And then he looks to you and says,
Does it remind me of my flower at home?
Nah, it's completely different. And as he thanks you, he just looks earnestly into your eyes and says, "You have my utmost gratitude. I have been searching for this for many an age, and it is rare to find such a cooperative member of Clan Malkav that has avoided the consequences of your curse."
It comes with the allies I keep. I find that goals, long-standing goals, and also a bunch of different enemies trying to kill you is actually quite good for the insanity.
I'm very glad. He beckons for your hand while still holding the flower in his other hand.
Iris approaches a bit, sort of say like wary, but still.
Yeah. As soon as you make contact with his hand, you feel like a slight breeze, and all of a sudden you're back in LA right next to your car. And he lets go of your hand and seems to twirl the flower in his hand again and says, "Thank you for reuniting us. It's been a long time coming."
You're welcome. By the way, that process of expediting that you described,
It's
would
done.
that mean that so do you think I would be able to talk to the flower?
Well, not right now, but speak with your teacher. You'll feel the effects quite rapidly.
Iris looks to the forest. Oh, to risk the werewolves or not to risk? That is a question.
Hmm.
Or wait for my flight.
I would advise you to just follow your instincts. Isn't that what all of us do?
I mean, sure. And Serena proceeds into the forest.
Good on you, kiddo. And as you look behind, the man simply turns, still holding the flower that you now notice is dripping blood onto his hand. And with one step where he leans sort of to the side, you just see a blur and he's fucking gone.
Serena's going to use Obfuscate
Mm-hmm.
in the forest because safety first.
Okay. And we're going to cut the scene right here and finish it after the session because there's some secret stuff that you gotta get.
Okay.
And as Serena makes her way into the woods very carefully, we join Jasper as he attempts over and over and over to get this one ritual correctly. Can you describe how you're proceeding through the ritual?
Uh, well, firstly, Jasper would have gotten his hands on some ashes from a crematorium,
Mm-hmm.
and as he does the ritual, he is spreading through the walls of his room to, to try to recreate this ritual if he can do it successfully. He pushes the ashes along the sides of the walls and under the door frame and begins to chant as he tries to replicate the ritual Dim of the Damned.
Which ritual?
Dim of the Damned. Level 3. Uh, VtM 20
Din
anniversary.
of the Damned, yes. Okay, got it. So, you prepare the area, and what actions do you do to essentially, quote unquote, activate the ritual? Hello?
What actions?
Yeah, so you
Oh,
spread the ashes. What do you try to do to activate the ritual?
we'll do some chants like the ones that my teacher taught
Mm-hmm.
to activate.
Okay. Um,
Chants and
so,
movements.
hmm?
Chants and movements if necessary.
Okay. So you proceed to chant, and you project. You focus on projecting this chaotic and yet very orderly force of entropy that you are intimately tied to into the ashes and around the room. You visualize sort of a bubble the same shape as the room, and you project this entropy into it. And after a few moments of concentration, you open your eyes and you hope that the ritual had an effect.
Do I need to do any rolls or anything along the lines?
Do you need to what?
Do any rolls?
For now, no.
So Jasper just texts someone that's in the domain, try to see if they can listen without using aspects.
Yeah, let's say it's
Through his.
let's say it's Jack.
So yes, Jack receives a text asking for him to try really hard to listen in through Jasper's walls without using aspects.
Jasper's walls?
Yes, in his room.
Okay.
And Jasper would casually turn on the radio
Mm-hmm.
and leave it at somewhat the same level of sound that someone speaking would,
Okay.
and then wait for to say anything if he listens.
Okay. Jack, make me a perception occult roll.
Oh. Careful, please.
Yeah.
Oy vey. 1, 2, 3, 5.
Okay. So you focus, and at first you hear nothing. But as you focus more and more and more, you hear these faint, distorted echoes of something. Very faint. And you eventually manage to sort of piece together what the sound is. And you recognize it as a radio. But it takes you quite a bit of effort to do.
I'll message back that I hear radio, but like barely recognizable.
Okay. He would turn up the radio a little bit and ask for Jack to once again try hearing, see if it changed anything.
As a roll.
Yeah. Yep.
Hmm? Ah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If difficulty is 6.
Okay. You focus, and eventually the sound of the radio becomes far clearer. But it's very clear that something's distorting the radio sounds very slightly. You can still understand what the radio sounds are. It's very difficult to understand how much distortion there is, but there is some.
Mm-hmm. Better now, but like replay. Better now, but still distorted.
Jasper opens the door. Jack and says, "Thank you for helping me with some of these conclusions. That probably could work a little bit better." He says that as he turns around and immediately closes off the room once again.
Jasper, as you close off the room, you hear this faint whisper behind you. And it says, in a very familiar voice, "Huh. You think we used enough ashes?"
And Jasper immediately turns around to see if there's anyone there.
You sense that there's a presence in the Shadowlands there.
Yeah, and he will see it through the Shadowlands.
Do you see your usual pursuer who pesters you and helps you simultaneously?
Probably not. So getting the measurements right as he goes and gets more ashes once again. He probably use all of it at once.
If we need more, I'm sure Jack wouldn't mind if you just take an arm. I think he's old enough for that to work. Maybe a finger. I could go get it if you want.
I believe it would be unwise, and I asked you not to.
Well, yeah, you asked. But I kind of do what I feel like, my man.
That is true. The same way I can feel like eating you right now if you try to do that.
We both know you tried, and you failed.
We both know that I might have failed, but I can still succeed if I try hard enough.
You can keep telling yourself that. In the meantime, I think I'm gonna go bother your friend.
I don't have time for you, but if you do bother him, well, at least don't mention me. I already have too much to deal with. He says as he getting his suggestion about using his finger, he actually pulls up some of his fingers to use as ash.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He see to add more ashes around the room
Mm-hmm.
and the walls and redo the activation of the ritual.
Okay. And as you begin using your own fingers to create these ashes, the specter just laughs his ass off at you. And at some point, he says, "Well, if you're just gonna do that, I mean, why not take the leg too? Here, let me help you." And he goes behind you and almost pushes his arms into yours and his legs into yours and just does one kick that throws a bunch of ashes in the air and makes you fall on your back. As you open your eyes, he's standing over you, just laughing his ass off.
I have told you time and time again to not possess me.
Well, I'm pretty much the only specter who can, so you're fucked, I guess.
Jasper just looks at him angrily, but he did create enough ash, much more ash for him, so he will focus back on the ritual, retightening the ash around the walls and whatnot. And why are you here now of all times? What brings your, well, whatever the fuck you're supposed to be
Well,
here?
it's been a while since we had a talk. And you did meet that wonderful lady. I think it'd be very, very interesting if we started telling people what she is.
Yes, and what exactly she is,
Well, I don't
other than a
fucking know,
kindred.
do you? We're not gonna figure out by not telling anyone.
We're not telling anyone jack shit. Keep it to yourself.
Well,
Anything else you wish to talk about? Says as he continues his work.
I mean, I guess I could talk about all those years you spent stuck in that river. I mean, if you only knew how to swim, right? That could have been easy to escape from. But no, you got stuck in there. And I plagued you.
Jasper's eyes twitch a little bit in anger.
I plagued
Yes,
you.
because
And I dragged you along. And you didn't trust me to help you up. But eventually I did. Didn't I? All I had to do was
Yeah.
wear your hand like a glove, and out we go.
Yes, and you also did so much more before that.
Well, I had to be inventive, right?
And she turns around immediately and says, "And why do you want so badly to know what she is? She's a kindred like me."
Yeah, but she isn't, is she? You don't grow horns like that overnight.
Well, technically, he says, thinking to himself, he could do that easily.
Well,
What?
I'm
Could
sure
do
you
that.
could, but then again, which woman hasn't given you the horns eventually? Isn't that right?
Once again, your presence makes itself annoying.
Always, my man.
Does Jack hear at least the half the conversation? Jasper's?
Roll perception and occult.
Okay. Can do that. Oh my god.
That's 3 10s. You
Yes.
hear Jasper loud and clear. Eventually you hear him fall and curse and complain at something. You can't hear the other half of the conversation.
I'll go and knock at his door.
Jack, you hear a knock at the door as...
Jasper.
Sorry. Jasper,
Jack
you hear
knocks.
a knock at the door, and you see the ashes that you've scattered on it sort of fly off with each knock. And your friend looks at the door and says, "Oh, you got a visitor." Noise complaints again, huh?
Yes. Jasper Oaks opens the door, completely annoyed. Not particularly at Jack, but he's completely annoyed right now.
You know,
What
I
is it?
can kinda still hear into the room.
Yes, I'm not done with the ritual. I'm still doing things, carrying ashes and whatnot.
Talking to yourself
He
quite
kind of
loudly.
looks. He looks through, some side of the room. He is completely staring down knowingly at the wraith.
Yeah, as you look back at the specter, it's no longer there.
You're talking to yourself a
God.
bit too loud. Not that I
Yes, yes,
mind.
just
Not that I mind. But yeah.
Jasper's about to close the door before he opens up and again and asks, "You didn't mention that she was from your clan, right?"
Kinda.
Jasper, behind Jack, you see the Wraith manifest for a few moments, just doing. And then he vanishes.
So, do some of your clan members grow horns over the years?
There is an odd bloodline. She doesn't look like one, but there is still a way for that. I might have an idea.
And you're 100% sure she's from your clan?
Well, she knows of Tenebration.
Yes, and I know
And
necromancy.
sure. Do you remember when we were talking about like the whole clan message? He told me she's not of the clan, right?
When you were
I
talking about
remember I
what?
got blue tongue from her.
Hmm.
We're talking about like the clan wide message Jack sent.
Mm-hmm. You got what you got, mate.
She told me she's not of the clan, and Jack got it too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though technically the statement was something along the lines of, are you of the La Sombra bloodline?
Hmm. Well, there is something curious about her.
Um, I don't know, it just feels a little bit weird. I have never seen a La Sombra with horns before. And, well, with that thing that we saw, I'm worried what the argument was, you know.
Mm-hmm. Would Jack know? Would Jack add two and two together at this point and just figure out that she's Magar?
Intercult.
Yeah. Bloodlines apply.
Yes. Literally, that's the only role where this
Yes.
applies. It's like, is she a bloodline? Does bloodlines apply to this role?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, with 5 successes, you would know she's like. You don't know if the name for them is Kiaseed or Magar,
Mm-hmm.
but you do know that some of their ilk share these weird deformities. Now, you wouldn't know the specifics about
Mm-hmm.
how a Magar is made, and you wouldn't know the exclusive difference between a Magar and a Kiaseed of the bloodline of Kiaseed.
But he suspects changeling bloodline. Changeling
Yeah,
blood.
you definitely some changeling shit
Fuck.
in the mix.
Yeah.
This changeling fuckery, especially with the type of stuff she's capable of, and the
Yeah.
type of stuff she knows about.
Yeah. I have a suspicion what she actually is. Can't really confirm specifically, but there is a suspicion.
Okay. And Jack, you would notice Jasper immediately close, the door, and you would hear him pushing something from the floor towards the door. And at this time, Jasper will once again activate the ritual, so Jack
Mm-hmm.
can see if he can hear anything.
Okay. Jack, you may roll again. And Jasper, what noise are you making?
He would be performing chants in probably Latin or some dead language. He knows of.
Can't hear shit. Can't hear shit. My luck just
Wait,
fucking
wait,
got me.
wait. One,
Yes.
two,
Oh,
three,
God.
four.
It's that bad.
That's difficulty.
It's -2.
Yeah. So that's
Did he bot?
he
Yes.
did.
Oh, God.
Okay.
I rolled
So-
4 10s in previous 2 rolls, so I guess it's only
So
fair.
Jack, you try to hear, and at first you begin to hear very muffled chants, but before you can make out what the words are, the chants begin morphing into this really, really unsettling wailing that just gets louder, and eventually you just hear a screech that is louder than anything you've ever heard. After which you hear a very high-pitched that slowly fades. And you then do this, and you hear nothing.
Nice. Jason, I'm fucking deafened. I blame it on you.
So yeah, how do you react?
Does Jack do anything to get the
Yes, he
attention
texts
of...
you that he's fucking deafened, and he blames it on you.
Oh,
Jasper, as you
opens
read
the
the
door.
message, you hear the specter with his head sort of over your shoulder, looking at the text, and he says, "I think you used a bit too much hash, mate."
Jasper opens the door, looks at Jack. How pissed off is Jack looking at Jasper? Just so he can know.
He's just kind of disappointed. It's gonna heal, but it'll take some time.
Jasper grabs a piece of paper and he writes down that you're just temporarily deaf for the night. Don't worry about it.
hmm
Sorry about really rough side effects.
Just read some books on that. Just don't bother anyone with Auspex. You're gonna blow their ears off. Jake's way too
at
loud
this
because
point-
he's trying to hear himself.
Yeah, you can't hear shit. Like, you feel the vibrations, but you can't hear
Mhm.
them at all.
Like inner ear helps to hear himself, but like anybody else, nah.
Jasper, it's down. You're screaming. Talk normally.
You realize can't fucking hear myself properly.
He writes down, yes, talk like he would normally would talk.
I wouldn't hear myself then. You might know how
Jasper
the
writes-
fucking anatomy of the head works.
Jasper writes down once again, don't you fucking have any memory of how you talk then?
Just don't ask anyone with Auspex to try and help you with that. You're gonna blow their fucking head off.
He writes down the point of the ritual is for us in our domain to have privacy and for other things that we might need. So no one can hear us.
Jack just creates like in a corner Shroud of Night, like smaller one. That's your fucking solution.
Jasper writes down, well, it's not subtle.
Who fucking cares? Everybody else except me in this house has Auspex, so who gives a fuck?
Jasper,
Exactly.
as Jack is, shouting all of this, every time he stops...
He's talking louder.
Yeah.
He's talking louder than normal.
Every time
But
Jack finishes a sentence or has a pause, you see the specter sort of hovering around him and just shouting at the top of his lungs right next to his ears, and then looking at you super amused.
Jasper at this point ignores the fucking specter and texts Cecil saying, I have found a ritual to give you more privacy from prying ears.
Cecil responds with, perhaps applying it to each room would be a good idea.
Jasper just expected thumbs up and writes to Jack, I will not be proceeding to do this in every room in the Haven. First, I need to grab some matches.
okay, let me heal and let's do that tomorrow.
Jasper kind of looks at Jack.
On Cecil's and Iris's bedroom.
Hmm?
At least you should put it on Cecil's and Iris's bedroom, given that.
No,
she
I'm
knows
gonna
that.
I'm gonna quality control this motherfucker.
Yeah, but if the rooms need protection, it's mostly so that Cecil doesn't get found out.
Yes, Jasper would definitely do that. He cannot help but, I've woken up probably sometimes too.
Do not.
Or
Everyone's avoiding
not.
the joke. Do not make it yourself.
The joke has been made. That's enough.
very well.
But yeah,
I won't
that's...
continue.
Hmm?
I won't continue.
Okay.
But once again, he looks at the reef that's behind Jack and says, are you satisfied with the answer about that Cainite?
Who you're talking to?
I mean,
Don't worry about it.
I don't know why you're talking and looking at me. Number one, he can't hear you, pointing at Jack. And number two, he can't hear me even when he's not. And he does like clicks next to Jack's ear.
Yes, the point being, what are you doing here out of all times?
I just felt like annoying you, man. Been a while. Dragging you through running waters of pitch black ooze was fun and all. But it was even better bullying you outside of those waters, I mean, ever since you've been wandering around, you've been getting up to some interesting shit. I went in.
What do you mean you want in?
I want to participate. Give me shit to do.
Now, see, as much as I wish to believe you are a decent Wraith, past memories make me believe otherwise. So what is your angle here?
My angle. Right now, upright.
It's not bullshit.
Can I
with me,
judge
you know what-
from Jasper's body language if it's a demon or if it's not? Just to know if we need to raise panic.
You
He looks annoyed, not scared.
Yeah,
so-
you can roll perception empathy if you wish.
Yep. bu- Okay, decent. I'm getting
So
all ones out of the way now.
Jasper looks annoyed more than anything. Annoyed and a bit desperate. Not desperate, exasperated at dealing with this shit. It feels more like he's being pestered by someone he doesn't like rather than forced or coerced to do something he doesn't want to. That's as much as you can get just from looking at him, especially when you can't hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
Jasper, as you say all of this, you see Larry exiting his room, holding his phone, and just stomping his way to the rooftop. And as you see this, the Spectre looks at Larry and then looks at you and says, "Who's the fuck ugly?"
That is Larry. Why am I answering you? I don't need to answer you.
Of course you do. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep asking.
Fine. You want to help?
You,
You want
you
to
need help.
assist?
You need help, Jasper.
You want to assist? He completely ignoring Jack. There's something you can do for me. I need someone to monitor a certain area for me and tell me if any wraiths are being born, any wraiths come by, or any living beings or undead.
Got it. I'll check the bathroom of the neighbors. And he just fades through the floor.
Good. That will keep him occupied out of him. He looks back at Jack. Well, what to do with you now? He says, he writes on a paper, do you need any assistance listening to a conversation or having someone provide you any assistance while you're deaf?
I'll just reschedule some shit for today. Is Larry still there? Or he already flew off?
Larry is at the door to the rooftop.
Hey, Larry, going somewhere?
Yes. What's up?
First of all,
Jasper
can't
writes
fucking
on the
hear
paper.
you. Can't fucking hear you. So nod or shake your head. Can you grab me a book on sign language?
What?
Can you grab me a book on sign language? Please just nod or shake your hand. I can't fucking.
Larry's head turns to Jasper. Is he on
Yeah,
something?
he's temporarily deaf. Don't worry about it. It should go away by tomorrow. Maybe. Maybe.
Jasper, you hear
I
a
thought we were permanently deaf.
Jasper. You hear a very muffled Spectre from the bottom floor shouting, "Should!"
Damn it. Can still hear me. I need to get out. Go for a walk. He says, getting to the exit. Probably looking very frustrated.
Larry, it's probably gonna fix itself before like the end of the week. But just in case, can you grab me a book on fucking sign language? Nod or shake your head.
I don't like all the screaming. Goodbye. I will wave to Jack and fly off.
I will smother you in your fucking sleep.
Jasper's eyes go back to Jack and writes down on paper, handing him that he will get the fucking book. Stop screaming.
Appreciate it. He just goes into his room and fucking slams the door.
And as the door is slammed, Larry gets onto the rooftop. And with a couple of beats of his wings, he just almost lets himself fall out the side and takes flight. As Larry flies over the streets of LA, he makes his way to the nearest location he was given, entering through the rooftop. Or rather, you land on a rooftop. What would you like to do?
I would like to enter through the rooftop.
Okay. So no prepping or anything like that. No scheming shit. That's fine. Hey, I just need to know if you're doing it. Nothing else. Not saying it's needed. Yeah. You enter.
Nah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I will go like that.
So you enter through the rooftop. You make your way through the corridors as you were instructed to do, and eventually you reach the secured room. You face through the wall to make your way inside, and as you do, you see Larry standing there with his back against the wall, and two other rather bulky gargoyles, not as tall as you, but rather bulky, as they basically eye you with frustration.
Wrong time.
Something happened.
What?
Larry reaches to the floor, which is sort of obscured by a table that's like in the center of the room, sort of like a business meeting table. And as he lifts up, he tosses a few stone fragments of what looks like a broken wing with heavily decayed flesh under the stone. That is all that's left of one of our lookouts.
When?
Last week. Oh, actually, canonically, a few days ago. And we checked his reports. He got an SOS from you right before he disappeared.
No. Fuck.
What?
I will go and examine the beats that are left.
Mm-hmm.
Can I derive something from them?
Let's say perception medicine. Difficulty is higher because this isn't traditional medicine.
I have no medicine dot, so
That raises the
even
difficulty even more.
Even higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't fucking matter, Chad. So you look at the shape of the wing, or the bits of the wing. You can tell it's the wing because of the joints. If you recall the description, he had sort of bat wings. You can see part of the joint as part of this fragment. And as you look at the bits of the wing, they sort of bend in a weird way. And from damage that you have sustained and that you have inflicted on other gargoyles, you'd know from experience, when gargoyle skin breaks, it's like shattering stone. It doesn't bend at all. It's a fixed break, usually very sharp. This one looks like it was bent and then broken, which doesn't happen naturally. It's very weird of it to do that.
So maybe it was someone who can manipulate flesh?
Potentially, yeah.
To explain myself, I have a crow. Did you meet it?
Not really. We got some folks who can talk to animals if...
It's gonna sound weird. Well, if it is needed to prove my innocence, then yes, you could talk to it. But since it's my pet, you wouldn't really trust it. So I got to our old haven at one point, and there, skipping the larger context, another crow came who was under control of some vampire, and my crow got spooked. It flew. Apparently it remembered one of the hideouts, and it found
What was his name? Do you recall it?
Hmm?
Do you recall this fallen gargoyle's
No.
name?
You had seen him, but you've never met him before that night.
and it found a poor lad there. He flew over to check, and I told him that everything's alright. But this crow that was under control saw it before I spooked it away. So, okay, I understand that you have no particular trust to me from the get-go, because I belong to another sect. And I understand that this whole story sounds pretty weird. But from what I've noticed,
We're fairly sure it wasn't you.
yes. Of
It
that I'm
was someone you probably know. Is there anyone that you know that would do this?
I can guess what type of abilities were used when this happened, because
I will pick up the bit of wing.
you see it's rather bent, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't look like that if it was broken off. So maybe it was someone with flesh carving. First guess. Maybe you have something on your mind too.
Well, that's a power usually present in your sect. Do you have anyone in
Yes.
mind who would go after this guy?
Where was it that you found this?
right outside the hideout.
So
Which
somebody
means the hideout
followed
is
him
burnt.
there.
Can I? Where is the hideout? Like, can you give me
This
kind of
one
a map?
was so on the map. You were here. The hideout was the one in Hollywood, so around here.
In Hollywood, so the Anarch area.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody would need to have followed him because he has the skin of the chameleon, and probably this would be an airborne creature.
Well, my guess is that you can't really track a gargoyle, no matter how much you try. And if somebody did follow him from the park, then it was an airborne creature, something small that he wouldn't notice. Maybe another crow or a bird in general that would slip past his senses and track him all the way to the hideout where he would be intercepted.
Well,
So, if we want to find this person, we need to find the one who can manipulate the smaller beings and not just tell them orders, but look through their eyes.
well, I'm sure you'll get right on that, right?
Of course,
Good.
only I don't know where to start.
Well,
I will ask around, see what I can find.
according to your own testimony, you were the last person who saw him before he
Yes.
vanished. Apart from
Yes, I
whoever
was.
killed him.
That's right.
Were you the only one there?
No,
So someone else saw it.
my backmate.
Which one?
Serena.
So the murderous one.
Chill out. She wouldn't dare to. She wouldn't.
Well, I'm
Get
sure you can
in
prove
the
her
way
innocence.
Of my allies. I am sure of that.
Well, prove her innocence. That's pretty much it. Until then, we also have other news for you. We've recently found that, well, since the Tremere have started sending forces to the north of downtown, we figured out that they're searching for something there. Managed to get access to some sensitive data through less than honest means. They are searching for something that apparently is a danger to their structure. They got a whole organization they follow. And apparently there's something there that threatens them. Or at least they think it's there.
Well, the north of downtown is the place where our old haven was.
To be clear, over here.
Oh, This is the no. Okay. Then I redact that, and it never happens.
Temporis is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Any speculation on what it could be?
Oh, whatever it is, we need it. Because if you can topple their entire organization, or at least threaten it, it's something we can use. And the less Tremere on this fucking planet, the better.
Where do Tremere come from? Camarilla?
That is a very complicated question. Look,
These.
all I
are
know is that
such-
they're warlocks. They're wizards. They do shit we can't really understand. Now, they say they are allied to this Camarilla sect, which is why we don't ally with them.
I know. Well. If we could somehow find it first. But we need to narrow down the area.
I'm sure we can ambush a few of the warlocks, beat them to a pulp, and interrogate them. You think you can do something like that?
Larry sort of flexes his muscles.
Well, I think so.
Good. That plus proving your friend's innocence. That'll do it. In the meantime, never say we don't do stuff for you. We found a few interesting people hanging out. One of which you asked us to look into. He reaches towards one of the other gargoyles, who opens up one of the file cabinets next to them, flips through a few, takes one printed photo and hands it to Larry, who then hands it to you. And when you look to the photo, you basically see Strauss photographed through a window in a very covert angle. So it's taken from a rooftop with a lot of zoom. You can tell that much. And as he's sitting on this chair, just observing the room in this photo, next to him, standing with her arms crossed behind her back, is the woman from the photo you found.
Larry squeezes the photograph.
When was the picture taken?
Couple months ago.
All right. Thank you.
Just some advice, because we do know you tend to be a bit impulsive. Best not chase her down. Okay?
I do not know anything about this woman.
Alright, well, here's all you really need to know. The reason why she's standing right there is because she's currently the sheriff. Do you know what that means? Good. So you know you shouldn't fuck with her. Shouldn't look for her. Shouldn't talk to her. She'll either kill you or deliver you to Strauss.
She has no place in any corner of my heart or my mind.
Good.
And I will crumble the picture and I don't know, toss it to the ground.
Good.
So, are we doing it?
For now, we need to exploit the situation with the Tremere. Eventually, though, I do want to capitalize on what we get there. In the meantime, intel.
Sure.
And do
Right.
make sure you manage to get some evidence to prove your friend's innocence. There's a bit of an alliance that's starting to form here. It'd be a shame if that was tossed to shit just because one of your friends is a bit too hasty.
If you could look into people we know who can essentially control the birds, looking through their eyes, and get a list, it would be rather helpful to this investigation.
Sure, we will. It'll take some time, but
Of
You know.
course.
for now, try to disprove our main theory.
Got it.
Good. Any questions before you go?
No, pretty much not.
Good. Right. We need to go prep a new hideout, which will take some fucking scouting. But, hey. Problems with having one of us die, right? And the gargoyles begin to move to the same wall that you phased through to enter the room, and they begin to just walk through.
Wait, Larry. Did this poor soul have any particular enemies?
Same we all do.
So, nothing out of the ordinary.
Not that I know of. Unless he pissed in someone's cornflakes.
Maybe he got the info that he shouldn't have at some point.
Well, it would have been shortly after he left, though. There isn't that big of a window. What could he have gotten? You gotta understand, we don't have all that many resources. Investigations take us a while. It's all manual.
I know. I am not asking of you anything. It's all on me.
Look, we'll try to find inconsistencies. You're getting the benefit of the doubt to your clan. Just,
Yeah.
you're on thin ice. Just know that.
I nod and start phasing through the wall too.
Goodbye.
Yeah. And as you make your way out, you fly all the way back to Haven and rest in for the daylight. The following night, we join Jack as he opens his eyes. And as he scans the room he just woke up in, he clicks his fingers and seems to be hearing them just fine. And at that moment, his phone buzzes.
Yeah, what's that?
Vicus sent you a text saying, "It's time."
Very well. On my way.
Mm-hmm. You quickly get your coat on, go to the car, and begin driving to the same location as last time. You park your car, descend into the dark basement of the building, and inside waits Vicus. The room now has the altar cleaned. It's still there, but it's like fully cleaned. And at the end of the room, instead of having an open area right in front of the altars, there are two large trunks that are locked with padlock. And Vicus seems to be leaning on one of those trunks, flipping through the pages of a book.
Evening.
You're here. Good.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Yeah.
Been feeling
It's
okay?
not like Johnny's blood has been making me feel tingly, but not much more.
You're capable of some crazy shit with that, aren't you?
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. Don't get used to it. Doesn't last forever.
Mm-hmm.
But
I know.
it's a fun side effect. You can achieve very weird things with it.
Yeah, I would say that's right.
So, your test is to open these trunks and decide what to do. One of them contains a tool you need. The other one contains knowledge you can unlock with that tool. I want to see how you process the situation.
Jack will listen to his obtenebration and feel to which trunk open first.
Let's get weird. Just roll me flat up tenebration.
Okay.
I want to get this shit weird. Let's go.
Still a bit of Johnny's blood, so yes. Oh no. Oh my god. Oh my god.
You want to open Vicus?
What?
Anyway,
It is a tool.
so you look to the trunks, and as Vicus takes her weight off of one of them and begins to walk to the entrance of the room to close the door, you get the sense that you should potentially open the right one, but then you also get a feeling that you potentially should open the left one. So you kind of get a bit weirded out trying to decide. It's almost like the shadows are trying to direct you in two different directions at once. And for once, you can't rely on the shadows to do the work for you.
And I will do my best Serena impression and rely on my sixth feeling.
Okay.
Whatever the fuck the stars tells me.
Okay. Make me a quick roll of 3 dice, please.
Mm-hmm. And now I get normal dice rolls.
Trying to rely as much as possible on your intuition. You close your eyes and you try to process the information that you've been given. One of these trunks contains the tool, one of these trunks contains the information. While because of the previous roll you're still quite indecisive, with this roll, you dig deep into your recent rationale when it comes to what you value.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been more and more curious about the process of passing over. And you get the feeling that maybe you should just lay your hand on each of the trunks to help you decide. You lay it on the trunk on the right, and it's perfectly still. You lay it on the trunk on the left, and you feel a little bump.
Might be that in a trunk on the left there's one who get me some insight, or the right one is a tool. I can obviously open both.
You could.
Well, it's something living in the left one too, and the passage of death and soul.
So which one do you open?
The left one.
The left one. So you open the left trunk, and inside you see 2 people who have been essentially tied together and are trying to wiggle out of their restraints. But the restraints are very, very tight to the point where you look at their hands and feet and the tips of their fingers are starting to turn purple and slightly bloated.
So they're probably not Cainites. Let's see the right trunk.
Opening the right trunk, you see one person who seems to be completely unrestrained, cannot move. And the pose is sort of like this, just curled up in the box. And through their chest, you see the blade of a knife coming through, which you presume has the handle shoved into that person's heart.
If my assumption is right, He will be the tool, and these two are the lesson. Is Vicus here?
Vicus is watching very, very expectantly, with a very wicked grin on their face.
Healing Immortal I've done already. Healing Immortal to Vampire wouldn't be really something I haven't seen. Unless you've got me someone with Auspex, so I can perceive more than I can right now.
Vicus has no reaction whatsoever. They're just watching and studying how you approach the situation.
I will try to gauge like if the vampire one, if it would be like deductible that she's from a clan with Auspex. Probably like the other are more flashy ones. Other than that,
So, looking at the vampire, the man seems to be rather frail. So he wasn't embraced in his prime. Make me a perception investigation roll. And separately,
careful.
Make me a perception and medicine roll. Careful applies on both.
One will be 6 dice. The other will be 5 because I don't have medicine. Keep that in mind. Both are pretty okay.
Okay, so first let's tackle the medicine ones. Actually, let's tackle the perception ones. So, looking at the person's physiology, they definitely aren't any clan that would demonstrate physical deformities or physical abilities to change their body. They don't show any signs of intentional shapes to their flesh. Everything seems very natural. And they don't show signs of animal aspects or deformities. Similarly, while they are somewhat pale, they look still very humane. So you'd wager they are probably very young. Now for the medicine roll, you do notice that among the markings, like general blemishes, scars on their body, bit trigger warning because this is sensitive material. You do notice that their wrists are covered in scars, just horizontal scars all over the arm, and one very long scar along it.
I'll try to understand if, like, because it seems like it's a Malkavian-ish fledgling.
You can roll wits
And, like,
and investigation if you wish to get like a clue or at least a deduction that Jack would make based on his.
yeah, like not like who, like, assuming it's a Malkavian, probably.
Mm-hmm. I'll just tell you if you're right or
tend to
wrong depending
embrace-
on how many
yeah,
successes.
They tend to embrace from more, let's be real.
They're drawn to fucked up people in that.
Yes.
Been there, done
Yes.
that, by the way. Not
Yeah.
derogatory. Comes from experience.
Yeah. So Jack will assume that he needs to deblerize the Malkavian to get to Auspex and to, like, use it to have something. I'll try to, like, work on that theory.
Mm-hmm.
Wits and investigation. And for the many times in this campaign, Peleze.
Oof. And last roll I'm gonna ask you to do because it matters here. Roll me a flat perception. Perception alertness.
Careful.
No, not really. The difficulty is pretty low as well. Difficulty 4.
Okay. I should be able.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fine. So, going for the perception one first.
Mm-hmm.
As you watch the man, you get this whiff of blood in the air. And the man's not bleeding. And it doesn't smell as sweet as Vitae, really. You look to the tied up mortals, and you notice that as they've struggled, their wrists are starting to bleed. When you examine cautiously, you realize that the duct tape that's really tightly holding their wrists in place and their legs in place, there are bulges underneath the duct tape. When you trace it, you get sort of the impression that it has barbed wire inside. So they're struggling and they're bleeding as they're struggling.
And as for Wits investigation?
Wits investigation. Your theory is correct in the sense that you need to diablerize the guy to get the tool to get the information from the mortals. What information you're supposed to get? Well, given that you got 3 successes and Jack himself is like, he's been spending a lot of time thinking about this because you've spent the actions for it. I'll also grant you the knowledge that one of the studies that you've been sort of obsessing over recently is that death is sort of a fate. It's a thing that happens. If you're going to interfere with it, you're just going to delay a natural process. You're going to interfere with a cycle that's very natural. You're going to delay a transition that the that the life could experience in death. You almost feel guilty just at the thought of it.
Let's go for the forbidden nom nom.
Okay. So no roll to actually perform the diablerie. He is staked. He cannot do anything. You bite into his neck, and he doesn't have a lot of blood in him. Not at all. You don't get a lot back. If you had like 2 points missing, you can top off, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But as you drink and you begin to suck on the dry artery, eventually something else starts going into you, and you feel this empowering, almost intoxicating sensation. It feels fucking amazing. I need you to roll for addiction first. So self-control.
And so help me, God of Pelé, because here I can't spend my willpower.
Oh, nice. So the sensation is intoxicating, it's overwhelming, but you refuse to give in to it. And eventually, you begin to feel sort of a struggle in your mind. And it's almost like whatever is left of the guy is struggling against you. And I need you to roll your temp willpower.
Three.
Yep.
Oh wait, it's calculated a bit differently.
No, but you got enough. You got enough.
Okay.
As you drain whatever this is, you feel his flesh sort of dry up. And you realize that now you're sucking on a dry husk. It hasn't rotten all that much. But it's dry. It's empty. There's nothing there anymore. You feel this echo in the back of your mind. Do you have dominate above 2?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have auspex above 1?
Nope.
Then you get 1 auspex. And you get this sensation in your mind that there's almost a second pair of eyes watching everything you do. And with a quick motion of your neck and a forceful push with your willpower, you silence the presence into nothingness. And it just becomes something in your subconscious.
I guess that are the voices that Serena talked about. Interesting. What will be the knowledge I will get from those two?
Well, you do have auspex.
Yeah. Not a lot.
Not a lot, but you have 1 dot.
Yeah.
You may, if you'd like, you may roll a very quick, let's say, what would be deduction?
Wits investigation, intelligent, probably wits investigation.
Yeah, let's do that. Wits investigation. Why are you failing now?
The forbidden nom nom.
Yeah, it's the guy going, fuck you. So you stare at the two mortals, who by now are starting to... One of them's becoming quite pale, the other one's panicking and like wiggling even more, and with every wiggle you almost can now hear the scratching under the tape. And Vicus simply walks up to the trunk with the man and places their hand on top of the open lid and watches what you do. Roll me a single die.
That easy. That
Nope.
hard.
Nope. I was going for an auspice like premonition, which is one of the things you can do, but nope.
I can actually get Auspex 2 and just observe all of dying people.
Not here. You have to wait for the session to end.
I'll try to perceive the one who's closer to dying. Like, I've seen people dying, but not with newer perception.
Okay. So you're going to enhance your senses. Any senses in specifically?
More like just letting it overwhelm me. Just maybe I'll get something I didn't get all those times before.
So you focus, and you look to the paler mortal as the scratches result in massive amounts of bleeding. There's blood starting to pool at the bottom of the trunk. And one of the mortals starts dozing off once in a while, eyes sort of looking in multiple directions with sort of a lazy quality to them, while all the time twitching every time there's motion and there's more scratching and more pain. And as you observe the mortal, you begin to focus, and it's almost like you begin to perceive more things than you would usually see. You can see the pulsing artery on the neck slowly losing its pressure. You can see the fingers that were purple and bloated slowly darken slightly as the blood has stopped flowing into them, and they've started cooling and coagulating the blood faster. You can see the tips of the fingernails covered in this slight layer of thick coagulated blood. And you can hear the faint huffs and, labored breathing of one of the mortals as they struggle while the other one attempts to remain alive. You can almost feel the warmth emanating from all the effort they're making to try and escape, and the warmth that the blood itself emanates. The smell of blood is intoxicating. It's overwhelming. You can't smell anything else right now. And as you experience all of this, as the weaker mortal begins to close their eyes, only halfway, and the eyes sort of stare into the infinite, I need you to roll me Obtenebration +1.
Willpower?
Hmm?
Can I use willpower?
Yeah, sure, if you want.
Yeah, why not?
Don't forget, you're gonna have to use willpower later.
I
So
know.
don't start burning.
If I'm not depressed, I can use.
Okay, so that is
1.
Yeah.
2.
So you feel this call from the shadows, and as you focus with your auspex, you see this faint layer of shadows emanating slowly above her. They're not perceivable by the naked eye, but you can see this weird projection above her. And as her eyes finally give in and she stops moving whatsoever, and the pulse goes to nothing, and you can perceive almost to an uncanny level as her body starts dying bit by bit, starving her brain of oxygen. You begin to see this odd flow of shadows up, forming something. And as it forms this odd shape of repetition in motions, one of the motions latches itself on to the other mortal who's still struggling. And you can perceive that despite the fact that they were tied back to back and struggling, now you get the sense that while the body of the mortal was facing one way, now it's facing the other, hugging the struggling mortal who's slowly fading away.
It's interesting. It's almost like she's trying to protect him.
Vicus then taps the tip of the knife and says, "I think you just passed."
Good to know.
You don't use the knife to speed it up. You study it. You don't stop it either. It's a natural
My job to
thing.
interfere.
Hmm?
Is it my job to interfere?
It's your job to learn.
Indeed.
It'd be barbaric to interfere. And I need you, Jack, to roll willpower.
Permanent or temp?
Permanent. I think it's permanent on this one. I can double check the rules if you wish.
The rules don't say about permanent or temporal.
I'll
came
just
to
say
agreement
permanent.
like a couple of sessions ago. If you're not in the best mental place right now, it's temporal.
Yeah, I think
Otherwise,
Jack's
it's
fine
permanent.
right now.
Yeah.
He's been dedicating enough time to this that it's permanent. And it was...
Shit.
Yeah. You don't
It was
quite
shit.
get it. You don't quite get it. Not quite. Not quite.
Fuck.
So, as you look at it, you understand the concept of it. And it does feel like this is what you should have done. There's this nagging feeling in the back of your mind. attempting to dissuade you from this. Almost sounds like Liliana's horrified voice in seeing what you've become. It's like this lingering guilt of something you shouldn't be guilty of. Almost a mix of rage and guilt.
Seems to me I failed this one tonight.
And why is that, Jack?
It's almost if like I hold on to something a bit too hard.
Like we've discussed, it's just a natural thing to let things die. If you're not letting it die, maybe it's only right to kill it. Vicus leans closer to your ear and says, she's planning to defect. Make it right.
You know, my bloodline and the parallel one really likes to swing back and forth between sects.
They do. They have history.
Maybe I should just send her to our well-established relative.
Give her a new experience.
From what I know, she's also not humane. But she saw the tower from inside. And
Maybe
she
that's her
still
weakness.
was a sword. If she's not convinced enough to visit Lucita, I guess I'll do the best impression of.
Very good, Jack. She'll be visiting Isaac in 2 nights. She arrives by car. Always leaves alone.
I know.
I'll be watching.
Probably have enough time to go to Liana's tonight.
Excited, are we?
Why delay?
Go on. And Vicus just steps aside.
I'll give a call.
Mm-hmm.
It's done. And Jack will go upstairs, get into his car, and drive to Liliana's place. She gave him the address a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. The drive takes you a few minutes, and you ponder the decision you've just made. Part of you says it's wrong. Part of you says it's wrong not to do it. It's a conflicting position to be in. You're not sure which side is going to win. You definitely know that if one side wins over the other, it can either be catastrophic or enlightening. You park your car outside of the place. She did give you a number of the apartment. You enter the building. And I'll have you roll willpower right now, because it's pretty set what you're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And that's... Does that break the threshold? That's 4 successes.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, so that does break the threshold. You're gonna start with 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which fits, because this is quite a realization. It's quite an epiphany. As you ride the elevator up, you feel the shifts in gravity as it stops. And your mind is sort of racing, debating these two ideas. You walk up to her front door. You check your phone to make sure this is the right address. And you ring the doorbell. You hear a few footsteps. You hear Liliana's soft tone, "Coming." The door rings out with the sound of keys twisting in the lock. It opens, and you see Liliana dressed in a robe. Clearly just out of the shower with a towel wrapped around her head. She looks to you with a pleasant smile, and her eyes begin to slowly widen. The smile fades into a look of surprise as you walk inside the room. And that's where we will leave our session for tonight. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next week.
No.
See you around.
No, I wanted to quarrel with Cecil.